Today, on Be Something Wonderful, how imagining and the law of assumption really work. I am your host, Tom Kearin, and this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Creators, welcome back. There was a question from one of you on the teachings of Neville Goddard. And you said you've been imagining your wish fulfilled, you've been imagining your desire, but you're uncertain about what you're supposed to feel and how that's supposed to play out, that feeling. So today, guys, I want to unpack that and more. And just as I was reviewing my lesson today, I got another message from a subscriber, a comment on the channel that says, Tom, I'm just exhausted. And I have so many problems in my life, and that you know I'm fearful of having negative thoughts. I'm fearful of feeling negative, and I don't even want to say life is hard, because if I say life is hard, I'm not supposed to say that, and I'm just exhausted. I just don't know where to go from here. Well, today, guys, we're going to unpack this and more. So really, what I want to go with this is Neville Goddard in 1933. This is before he was teaching the law and the promise, right? A metaphysical teacher. And he was broke. This was during the Depression, right? And he was a dancer. And they weren't hiring dancers. No one had any money. And he talks about this story that his parents came to visit him in that year. And as he was waving goodbye to them, they were pleading with him to come back with them, and go to Barbados, right? Go to Barbados with them. And he didn't have anything to do with it. But as he was waving goodbye, he said he had a sensation, a feeling. And then as they left, he had this feeling that he wanted to go to Barbados. But again, he didn't have any money. He missed the boat, so to speak, with his parent, right? So he goes to see his friend Abdullah, and he says, Ab, he goes, I had this feeling that I really want to go to Barbados. And what does Ab say to him? You are in Barbados. And at the time, Neville didn't understand that, right? This was Abdullah teaching him the law, right? That what you imagine, what you see in your imagination, what you see in your mind's eye, will reflect or will manifest in 3D reality, right? This is what I was teaching him. And even as a month went by, as Neville dropped off to sleep in a state akin to sleep, right? Imagining his wish fulfilled, feeling himself, not in New York City where he lived, but feeling himself in Barbados, right? And he went to Ab and said, you know, a month's gone by and I'm no closer to being in Barbados or going to Barbados. And what did Ab say to him? Who said that you're going to Barbados? You are in Barbados. And then he slammed the door on Neville, right? Neville got the message then that it's about this persistence, the feeling is a knowing, it's a conviction that you're in Barbados, right? And so this is what I want to say to all of you. And even as Neville, so what happened? Well, Neville's brother sent him a message and said all the family is together for the first time, and that he's going to give him an all-expense paid trip to Barbados. He's going to buy his ticket, and it's going to be first class. And he even gave him money for clothes. Keep in mind, Neville had no money. So his brother bought him the clothes, bought him the ticket, all that from imagining, hear this, in first class. But then as Neville went down to pick up his tickets, they said, sir, we're sorry, you're only going to have first class part of the way. And so you have to start the voyage not in first class, and then you'll be upgraded, so to speak. Right? Then he goes back to his friend Ab, and he says, Ab, it worked. He goes, I'm going to Barbados, but not all the way first class. And I said, I said you're in Barbados and you went first class. Ab was very persistent. Hear this. This is the law of assumption. This is the pillar of Neville's teachings. But I just want to say, what is that feeling? It's an assumption, it's a conviction that everything you want and desire it, when you desire it, that it's yours. That's what we're talking about today. So no matter what you see in the 3D world, in the world of Caesar, as Neville says, doesn't matter. It only matters what's going on from within. I really want to unpack this today like we've never unpacked it before. So you are in Barbados. So whenever you're feeling that doubt, whenever 3D seems to be, there's a lot of pressure and you're feeling down and you're feeling exhausted, you're feeling like you're ready to give up, say to yourself, I'm in Barbados, right? This is the power in that. It's in that very moment you desire or want something, you assume you have it. In that very moment that you desire something, you move to the assumption that you have it. Why can you do that? Because it's the Christ within you, God's within you. If God doesn't desire, when God desires thing, God has it. And you are the Son of God. So everything that God is, you are. Right? And as Neville says, we're just keyed low here with our human imagination, right? But you are one with that divine imagination. So in that very moment you desire or want something, assume you have it. That's the law of assumption. And again, as Neville was starting to think about, well, how am I possibly going to go to Barbados? I have no money. I don't even have clothes to wear. And this is what his friend Abdullah said. Who said you're going to Barbados? You are in Barbados. You can't discuss how you're going to get to Barbados when you're already in Barbados. You can't think about how you're going to get something or how you don't have anything and how it's impossible if you're already there. And then as Neville was ready to settle for something less than his full desire, what did his friend say? You have gone to Barbados and you went first class. Sure enough, Neville got a first class ticket. There was space. Someone dropped out. That's how it works. Let's really take this on today. So when Neville says feeling is the secret, we're not talking, I really want to make this clear because some of you said, I'm so tired of trying to feel positive and trying to control my thoughts. None of that's necessary and none of that is ever required. Feel everything you want to feel. Feel everything that you're feeling. Feel it to the end and it will end. Don't resist your thoughts. Don't resist your feelings. Don't resist 3D reality. Don't resist what you're going through. It's all part of who you are. Instead, go to the knowing that's within. That's it. It's a knowing. It's a conviction. It's an acceptance of what's already yours. Right? It's our refusal, as Neville says, to accept it. Right? It's already yours. Instead, we're accepting these things that we see in 3D reality that we believe is us. You're not your feelings. You're not your thoughts. You're not those temporary circumstances in 3D. You're so much more and you're so much greater, right? It's not about having a happy vibration all the time, right? We've debunked that in several videos. It's none of that. It's a confident expectation that all that you want is already yours. Hear that. And will and must manifest in 3D reality when you hold that conviction, when you accept that knowing, right? That's what we're talking about. You become totally indifferent to the possibility of non-fulfillment. Non-fulfillment is not a possibility when you stand in that knowing, when you stand in that assumption, right? It's persisting in the wish fulfilled from a knowing rather than a desiring. Hear this. This is a big distinction because some of you said, well, I'm in the wish fulfilled, but are you in the wish? You think you're in the wish fulfilled, but it's from a desiring, from a desiring of something to change or something to be different. Instead, get in the wish fulfilled from a knowing that it's already yours. When you're in the knowing, you don't need anything to be different. You know it's different. Hear this. When you're in the knowing of that wish fulfilled, when you are in Barbados, it's not a desiring for things to be different. You know things are different. Do you hear this? You are in Barbados. So you don't need it. It's the confident expectation that things are different within. And that means things must be different without as you walk in that fulfillment. Wow, that's big, right? Pay attention only to your inner conviction. Align your inner speech to match your desired ends. right? That's all you ever need to pay attention to. Stop looking at the outside world. Stop telling that story. Stop giving it life. Stop giving it light. Stop giving it reality. Tell the story within, because that outer world is a mere shadow or a reflection of everything that's going on within, right? Align with that inner speech. Match it to the end. So let's unpack this a little bit more. And I think one of you was writing in that same note about feeling, that it feels fake. Well, of course it feels fake, because it's not a temporary fleeting feeling of the 3D world, right? Sometimes you feel happy, sometimes you feel sad, sometimes you feel confident, sometimes you feel frustrated, and sometimes you feel worthy, sometimes you don't. Those are all temporary fleeting emotions. That's how you know they're not who you really are. Who you really are is unchangeable. So that's how you know. If it changes, then it's not who you really are, right? It feels fake. So stop trying to believe it. That's what I say to you. You go, well, I'm trying to believe. Don't try to believe. Know it. That's what the law of assumption is all about. It's not trying to believe anything. It's stop trying to believe it. That's what's keeping you down, because you keep checking in with 3D reality, trying to believe something that your eyes don't see. Instead, know it. That's faith. That faith is a knowing. It's not blind faith. It's not telling you to believe in something that is not real. It's telling you to believe in the only thing that is real. Your inner reality, that God within, that Christ within you, or imagination. It's the only thing that is real. And everything comes from that, right? Beliefs can be shaken. Beliefs can change. So stop trying to believe, because that could be shaken in the next moment by something happening in 3D. Instead, know it. That's the law of assumption. Assume it. You are in Barbados. And I'm not kidding you. Right? Faith doesn't question, it doesn't waver, it doesn't hesitate, it doesn't struggle, it just knows. Like your inner being, like that greater you, like that God within you, it feels and knows. Right? What's it feeling? It's feeling that deeper feeling of unshakable joy, unshakable peace, unshakable faith in that spirit within. That's your inner being. That's who you are. Faith is feeling or living in the consciousness of being the thing desired. And once you desire it, you do have it, because it's all within you. That 3D world, the universe, is within you. You're not within it. It all comes from you, right? So, and again, this is Neville Goddard. Faith is feeling and living in that consciousness being the thing desired. Big quote. Remember, and then he talks about the mustard seed, as Jesus compares the kingdom of heaven to a mustard seed. Not that the kingdom of heaven is small, but that it's absolute and it's within you. And even when you don't recognize it, even when you don't see it, even when you're feeling doubtful, when you're ready to give up, when you're suffering, it's within you, and it grows as you recognize that, as you know it, as you see it. Right? Faith is absolute. A mustard seed knows it's a mustard seed. It's sealed in the consciousness of who it is. And that's what you do when you imagine your wish fulfilled. You seal yourself in the conviction that you are in Barbados, that you're much bigger and greater than these 3D circumstances. It's absolute faith. It's a knowing. It's not a small amount of faith. Everyone thinks that with the mustard seed, right? It's sealed in the conviction that it is a mustard seed. This is what Neville Goddard's talking about. Let's unpack this a little bit more. Your desire is evidence that there's an alternative view, a parallel version of yourself living in your desired reality. Remember, we've talked about this. Anything you desire is evidence that there's an alternative view, an alternative reality where you're living out that desire. So that desire is the evidence. That desire is the knowing. Hear this. That's why when you desire something, you can assume it and move to that knowing immediately, that feeling of wish fulfilled, which is a knowing, because if you desire it, that means for sure it exists on some plane of existence. On that higher plane, on that invisible plane. And then as you assume it, as you claim it as yours, as you feel that gratitude and that knowing of fulfillment, it must manifest in the 3D world. It's because we get stuck in just the desiring stage. feeling the desiring of it, but not the fulfillment within of it, right? It must exist. If this weren't so, you wouldn't even be able to desire it or imagine it. If it didn't exist, if it wasn't already yours, if there wasn't a greater part of you already living it, you would never even be able to imagine it or have that desire. Knowing this, expect its full fulfillment and full manifestation in the outer world. Expect, knowing this, expect its fulfillment and full manifestation in the outer world. That is the law of assumption. I could even call it the law of knowing, right? It's knowing that when you have a desire, when you're able to imagine it, then you can expect, confident expectation that it will be fulfilled in the outer world. No doubt. There's no room for doubt. There's no room for shaky belief. It's a faith. It's a feeling. It's a knowing. It's a conviction. It's done, right? What's true of God is true of you. God becomes the desire in the having of it. Hear this. And so do you. You're the Son of God. God becomes the desire immediately in the having of the desire. That's why Neville says to desire a state is to have it. To desire a reality is to have it. To desire anything is to have it, right? Faith transcends all limitations. To live in faith is to perpetually be living in the state of wish fulfilled. Right? That faith now, again, is a knowing. It's a conviction, and it transcends all limitations. Here you have access to a source of limitless power. But remember, so when you assume it, when you assume that God power within, when that assumption that you are in Barbados, you have access to that limitless power. But you only have as much access as that you demand, that you accept, that you recognize. All things are possible. But remember, as we talked about, that demand, supply is equal demand. The divine supply is equal to your demand of it. The more you recognize of that power, the more it's yours. It's already yours. But you've got to recognize it. You've got to accept it with gratitude. You are connected. It's living in that wish fulfilled. You have access to it. But how much of this limitless source you have depends on how much you possess. How much you accept, because it's already yours. Wow, that's big. So Neville talks about infinite states. What is Neville really talking about? And I talked about this in other videos. Neville's pointing to infinite realities, parallel realities. That's what he means. When he says, it's not the 3D you going to another state. It's that greater you. And then that 3D you merges with that greater you in your preferred reality, in your preferred new identity, right? That's what we're talking about. And we've often talked about these infinite lifelines or these infinite states as film rolls, right? Think of it. You're a character. It's like you're a character in a film. And as you fight 3D reality, as you talk about your problems, as you talk about that you're having these certain feelings of negativity or that you can't control your thoughts, all of that means you're trapped yourself in the script and you're trying to fight the script. Instead of trying to fight the script, you change the film roll. How do you do it? By imagining your desired end, by imagining your wish fulfilled, by lighting up your future frame. And then you're moved to a new film roll. So it's not about changing, it's about choosing a new film roll that has a new script that leads to your wish fulfilled. So let's talk about this. You can't change the script. Instead, you choose a new film roll. How do you do it? By imagining and assuming your desired reality. I am in Barbados. By that knowing that you are in Barbados. Imagining that desired end. With conviction, you're lighting up your future. Right? So you're not going to fight the script. All scripts have been written. You can't change the script. What you can do is select the film roll. Choose a new film roll that has a new script. But then even as you change film rolls, it's never about fighting the script. It's about moving with it, awake and aware that you are controlling things through your imagination, through your imagined end. Right? You can't, when you try to take on the script directly or 3D reality directly, that's what causes suffering and struggle and exhaustion. It's about moving with that greater you, right? Quietly going and changing film roles that has your preferred script and never struggling against a script. You're like a character who has woken up in a film or a movie. Think of this. You're a character and you wake up and realize you're a character in the movie. Well, you can't change the script, right? That the script's already been written. What you can do, you can be awake and aware and follow the script consciously. As you go, while you're doing that, as you go and quietly change the film roll and put in a different film that has a new script. See this? And then you're still following the new script consciously. And then installing another film roll that leads you, and you keep shifting realities towards your desired end. Do you hear this? You can't change the other characters, you can't change the events, you can't change the conditions. This is what we do when we get stuck in our current frame of our 3D experience. And we want to influence people, we want to influence events, we want to change things, we want to force things. That's impossible, right, to change a script. Just like a character in a movie has woken up. You can't do any of that. Any unconscious actions you take just move you to more unfavorable scripts and film roles. Hear this. As you fight the script, as you fight 3D, as you rail against it, as you talk about the exhaustion and how hard that is, as you resist it all, you move to more unfavorable film roles. How then do you get to where you want? You just focus, you just put your attention on in a light touch, in a carefree way, in an effortless way, on your desired end, on your wish fulfilled. You light up that future frame, right? So let's unpack this a little bit more. So remember, here's the film. Think of this as a film roll with all these events and all these things happening. Here is the quote past on this current script. You're in the current frame. There are your future frames. Trying to directly impact and change the script within this current frame is in vain. This is what you're doing. You're trying to change and influence events here. You don't influence there. Where do you influence them? In your imagination, by lighting up your future frame, by lighting up your imagined end, by knowing that here you're in Barbados. Here you're stuck in 3D and you're just looking at New York City like Neville, right? Here, and that you're not going first class and that you're not even going, right? What you do is you're in Barbados. You move to Barbados mentally. You move in your desired end mentally, right? Remember, you haven't read the script, right? So you're trying to imagine if you're trying to go to Barbados by borrowing money or trying to influence it or trying to fight your way, right? You haven't read the script. You don't even know the contents of the script or how it will play out. So it makes no sense to try to change it by direct force. We try to change 3D reality. We try to manipulate it. We try to force things. We try to effort our way, even with processes. Right? We try to work the processes. We try to imagine it really hard. We try to affirm it, trying to make our dreams come true. Not all of that pushes against and ingrains you in the current script. Right? You don't have access to the script. God provides the script. Infinite intelligence provides the script. His ways are unsearchable. His ways are unfathomable. You don't know the script. God decides that how. Right? So you're never reading the script. What can you do is how do you influence a script? By changing the film roll where there's a new script. How do you change the film roll? By imagining your future frame, by imagining your desired ends, right? That's why you feel exhausted and you feel frustrated and lost, because you're trying to manipulate and change the script that's already been written, right? So instead, without resisting the current script, compose the future slide. You're going to go along like a character who has woken up in the film. You're not going to disturb the script. You're not going to disturb the current film. You're simply going to imagine your wish already fulfilled. You're going to imagine you are in Barbados, right? And then you're going to quietly change the film roll that has your desired script, right? So you compose the future slide, and when you do, you're choosing a new film roll with a script that leads you to all you want. You choose your desired identity and your desired reality. You become aware, you become conscious. You're now a character who has woken up and is changing the film rolls that as each script leads you to your desired end. right? Remember, you're in a constant process of creating your own reality. You're in a constant process of shifting realities, always shifting to favorable lifelines when you're imagining your desired end, right? But if you're looking at 3D reality and fighting it and wondering why, and looking at the dead past and the dead thoughts and the dead feelings, then you get stuck in the current script, you fight it, and you move to more unfavorable scripts or lifelines, right? So this is big, guys. And so here you are. Here's the script. Here you are in the current frame. You're not going to fight the current frame. You're going to imagine that you are in Barbados, because you are in Barbados. And as you do, you move to that desired future. Now you're in Barbados. What do you want next? Right? And that's how you keep moving to more favorable scripts and more favorable lifelines. Right? That's how you move. Otherwise, if you get stuck here and keep your focus here, you're fighting a script that's already been written. You're fighting a 3D reality that's already been written. Right? When you compose reality, you are still and always in the current frame. You're still in the current frame, but you're in a new current frame. And you're now imagining your next desired end, right? Your next wish. But you're no longer stuck in the past. Here you're stuck. On that other one, you're stuck in the past, right? If you're stuck in the current frame, you're stuck in the past, right? You're no longer stuck in the past in a script you don't want, in a film role you didn't choose. That's what happens, right? When you fight the current frame, you're not even in the present moment. You're in the past, right? You're in a film role you didn't choose. You're in a script that you don't like. How do you move? You move mentally. You are in Barbados. You imagine your desired end. You get stuck in the script when you try to assert your control or your own ideas on how to manifest your desire. You try to effort your way. You try to say, well, this is how I think it should play out. Right? This is how I think I should get that promotion, or I could attract my SP by maybe sending her a text message, or maybe by wooing her, right? Or maybe writing a long loving email. I'll try this way. All of that doing is trying to force things, trying to control it. Right? If you're moved to write something, write it. If you're moved by that higher you to send a text, do it. It doesn't really matter what you do or don't do. I really want to say this, right? There's no wrong, right? If you do something and you feel, oh, I shouldn't have done that, don't worry about it. None of that matters. It's not the doing that creates reality. It's the being. So it doesn't matter what you do. I wouldn't deliberately take actions that are unaligned, because that's just going to make the process take longer. But don't worry about doing something wrong. Just do what you feel inspired to do, what you're moved to do, because you will be moved to do things, right? Compose your future frame. Assume the imagined end. I'm in Barbados. And the script in each successive alternative reality will lead you to it. That's big. Compose your future frame. Assume the imagined end. I am in Barbados, and the script of each successive alternative reality will lead you to it. You'll keep moving to your desired end on the path of least resistance. So, be consciously aware by observing yourself within. That's what we're talking about. Stop looking for evidence in the outside world. Stop looking to see if you're doing it right by observing others or observing the outside world. It's all within you. Right? Stop questioning your actions or whether I'm doing something right or doing something wrong. It doesn't matter what you do. It matters who you are, who you're being. Right? It matters that you be consciously aware. Observe yourself within. Instead of observing and putting your attention on what's going on out there. What should I do? What action should I take? Look what's happening. None of that matters. You'll be moved by those subtle, invisible nudges of infinite intelligence. You'll be moved to your desired end, right? It's subtle, it's invisible, but it's clear. Why? Because it's a knowing. Hear this. It might be subtle. It might be invisible. It might feel like a nudge, but it's clear knowing, right? It's a feeling of knowing. And when it's a feeling of knowing, it can't be shaken. It's not like a flimsy belief that can be questioned and shaken. Right? So you are now consciously allowing the script to lead you, which means you are now leading yourself to your wish fulfilled. Hear this. That's what really allowing means, the state of allowing or the receiving state, or letting go or surrender. You're now consciously allowing the script to lead you. So you're still following the script, but you're conscious, you're aware. You're allowing it to lead you as you're moved and nudged to move, right? Which means you're now leading yourself. When you allow the script to lead you, consciously aware that it's just a script. Now a character awake in the movie as opposed to a character asleep in the movie. You're moving with the script, you're moving with the knowing. Hear this. That's what allowing is. That's what the receiving state is. You're moving with that knowing within that you're in Barbados, right? That's big. So that's what letting go and what trust means. I think one of you asked me, one of the subscribers asked me, Tom, I know that you've done a lot on letting go and so forth, and let go, let God, and then one of your videos you said just let go, but what does that really mean? That's what it means, right? You're no longer fighting the script. Letting go is a conscious observation. It's a knowing within that you already have everything that you want, and you'll be led to it. You're going to feel your way as opposed to do your way there, right? That's what letting go is. It's a conscious surrender to the script versus being a character asleep in the movie, not knowing you're a character in the movie, because that's mostly how we spend our lives. Life is like a movie, and we're asleep, we're characters, and we got lost in our characters. We got lost in the script. We believe we are the character. We believe in this script, right? You now that's a conscious surrender to the script because you're quietly picking and choosing the film roles. That's what surrender means. Right? It's letting go of your grip on the script, right? On the script that's already been written in 3D reality, and picking the film role or the lifeline, right? Or the alternative reality, alternative view that you wish to occupy. And then not fighting that, moving with that script as well. And then keep choosing, focusing on your desired end. That's what letting go is. It's not letting go of your desire. It's letting go of the desiring. It's keeping that fulfillment in mind, keeping that desired end, knowing that you're in Barbados. It's really resting in that knowing, right? Allow the script to play out as you shift film roles and realities, always moving to your next frame or film role, lifeline and script. Really, guys, this is how imagining and the law of assumption really work. I am your host, Tom Kearin. And this is the Be Something Wonderful studio of higher consciousness, where we help you level up and become the best version of yourself. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification button. Guys, hit the like button and share our channel, share our videos on your social media with your friends and family. That's how we get our word out. You can follow us on Facebook at Be Something Wonderful, on Instagram and Twitter at Tom Kearin. Our website on tomkearin.com, besomethingwonderful.com. You can always reach out and say hello at info@besomethingwonderful.com. I always love to hear from you. Until next time, with great love and great light, this is Tom. See you soon.